Usually when we look at a city map, um, there is this expectation of permanence. It's like a finished painting. You look at the grid, the zoning lines, the concrete infrastructure, and you just point and say, well, there it is.
Right, like that's the neighborhood. It feels totally static.
Exactly. It feels static. But the moment you step into the actual lived experience of modern urban development, that static map becomes, well, honestly, it's totally inadequate.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's an illusion we rely on because we like to categorize our urban spaces into neat little boxes, residential here, commercial there.
Right, because it makes complex systems feel manageable.
Exactly. But really, dynamic urban chemistry. I mean, that is the only way to accurately describe what is happening in our cities right now.
Yeah, a living organism. And on August 15th, 2026, we're going to see that chemistry explode in real time. So welcome to today's deep dive. Today is August 3, 2026, and we are using a single upcoming event as our lens today.
The third edition of the ΗledesSœurs Intercultural Festival, right?
Yeah, that's the one. It's basically a masterclass that lets us look under the hood of modern urban development. And just a quick note for you listening. Our insights today are pulled from a comprehensive publication available over on wikiresidence.ca and infodrone.ca.
Which is available in both text and audio formats, by the way.
Right, yeah. And the mission for this deep dive is clear. We are not just previewing an event. We are exploring the exact fascinating intersection where urban planning, residential real estate, and community cohesion all collide.
It's a big intersection.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this, because on the surface, a festival just sounds like, a purely social event, a party in a park.
A party in a park is just the camouflage, honestly. The physical location of this gathering gives away the broader strategy.
You mean where it's actually happening?
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
festival is being staged at 205 Rue de la Rotonde, specifically within the Esplanade Park of the Pointe Nord sector. And the geography there is highly, highly intentional.
Right, because Pointe Nord is heavily spotlighted in our sources as a recognized model of urban planning. Like, it's specifically engineered around sustainable mobility.
Exactly. The structural transit there is critical. I mean, Esplanade Park sits just a 10-minute walk from the REM station.
And for those who might not be tracking every single transit development, the REM, that's the Réseau Express Metropolitan.
Right, the massive automated light rail network that has been basically transforming the greater Montreal area. Furthermore, the park is seamlessly integrated into the localized cycling network.
Right.
So we are looking at a space that has been structurally optimized for, high volume, low impact human movement.
Which brings me to an analogy. When I was looking at the billion-dollar investments into these transit corridors, it struck me that having a multi-million-dollar REM station and dedicated bike paths without a community gathering space, well, it's like having fiber optic cables wired into a house that doesn't own a computer.
Oh, that is a great way to put it. The connection is technically there, but there is absolutely no data transferring.
Exactly. You can have all the transit infrastructure in the world, but if there is no actual reason to gather, all that concrete and steel is just a highly efficient way to leave the neighborhood.
Not a way to actually live in it.
Right.
What's fascinating here is how the event organizers are answering that exact urban planning dilemma.
By using the park, you mean?
Yes. By intentionally utilizing Esplanade Park for this scale of public gathering, they are actively validating those transit structures. The festival basically acts as the computer in your analogy.
Ah, so it pulls people through the cables.
Exactly. It pulls people through the REM, the bike paths, and suddenly an empty green space is transformed into what the organizers literally call a true crossroads for exchange.
Wow. But, I mean, tapping a transit card and walking a bike onto the grass is just physical relocation. Getting people into the park is only step one.
Oh, absolutely. Physical proximity does not equal community. If you put 2,000 strangers in a park without a catalyst, you just have a crowded waiting room. What happens once they arrive is the actual mechanism that builds the neighborhood.
Which brings us to the heartbeat of this entire operation, the social fabric and the intercultural programming.
Yeah, this is where it gets really strategic.
So the driving force behind the festival is an organization called MAA. That's the Maison des Nouveaux Arrivants. Their foundational mission is to support newcomers and refugees.
Right.
And they are using this artistic programming to build what they refer to as intercultural bridges.
The architecture of that schedule is, well, it's brilliant when you look at it through a sociological lens.
How so?
Well, they aren't just throwing random bands on a stage. They are funneling the crowd through a very specific emotional and psychological progression.
Our sources do outline a really deliberate sequence. Like they kick off mid-afternoon with the official opening, bringing out dignitaries and the Maison team.
Basically to plant the flag, right?
Yeah, exactly. But then they immediately transition into a block called Rhythms and Movements.
Yeah.
We are talking about highly visual, choreographed performances from groups like Samba Jerry.
Who showcase Brazilian culture.
Right. Alongside the Fabian Silguero Company and local dance schools like Les Final.
So notice the strategy there, though. They start with visual, rhythmic storytelling. I mean, dance requires absolutely no shared language to appreciate.
That's a really good point.
Right. For a newcomer or a refugee who might still be navigating linguistic barriers, or even an established resident who doesn't speak a word of Portuguese or Spanish, a visual medium completely removes the friction of participation.
You can just watch, feel the rhythm, and, be part of the collective experience.
Exactly. And then as the afternoon fades into evening, the programming shifts gears into the world music block.
Right, which introduces Latin and traditional influences.
Yeah.
Groups like Route 20 Vallenato and Deja Vu Latin Sun.
And that all culminates in the festive evening. That's when they bring out the closing concert.
Arena Band, OZCR, Ikumacie, Queen Dre. The progression goes from watching a performance to actively participating in a massive shared musical environment.
It's a deliberate funnel to get strangers dancing together. They are moving the crowd from passive observation to active physical participation.
I see the mechanics of that, I do. But I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Sure, go ahead.
Festivals are incredibly fun. We all love a good summer concert. But does a single day of Brazilian dance and Latin music really integrate a refugee into the social fabric of an island?
You're wondering if one day is actually enough.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about one Saturday in August. Can a pop-up event actually carry that much sociological weight?
It's tempting to dismiss a one-day event as fleeting, I get that. But you have to consider the psychological hurdles a newcomer faces. Emine is deliberately engineering a phenomenon called placemaking.
Placemaking, okay.
Yeah, to cultivate a sense of belonging. Imagine being a refugee. Your entire experience of a new city often involves navigating bureaucratic offices, seeking basic services. You're constantly feeling like an outsider in spaces that were built for other people.
It's a landscape of alienation, basically.
Precisely.
Right.
But when an organization like Maison takes a diverse, multicultural talent pool and places it on the main stage of a highly affluent, transit-oriented neighborhood, they are doing two vital things simultaneously.
Which are?
First, they are loudly validating the identities of these newcomers. They are signaling, hey, your culture is not just tolerated here, it is center stage. You belong here.
Wow, so it's a very public endorsement of their identity.
Exactly. And second, it invites the established residents of Point Nord to step into the newcomer's cultural narrative rather than demanding the newcomer assimilate into the local one immediately.
Oh, that levels a playing field.
It really does. I mean, a community is essentially just a group of people who share a narrative. By the time Arena Band is playing in the evening, everyone in that park, whether they arrived in Canada 10 years ago or 10 days ago, is sharing the exact same local memory.
That drastically changes the perspective. It isn't just a concert. It's the literal manufacturing of shared civic memory.
And this is where our source material makes a really aggressive pivot.
Yet, right after outlining this cultural integration, because this sense of belonging they're cultivating isn't just a warm, intangible feeling.
Not at all. According to the data, it is a highly measurable, highly sought-after commodity in the 2026 urban landscape.
So what does this all mean? The transition from sociology to hard economics is where this deep dive gets incredibly pragmatic.
The publication explicitly describes this festival as a powerful economic micro-engine for the borough, and the sheer scale of the event acts as the fuel.
I mean, the organizers are projecting over 2,000 attendees. That is a massive crowd.
And the density of that crowd is where the economic multiplier effect takes over. Those 2,000 people are walking into an intensely curated marketplace.
The site plan includes 32 distinct booths dedicated to local businesses and artisans, right?
Yeah, alongside 16 booths entirely focused on world gastronomy. Plus, direct revenues for the event are generated through space rental fees for all those booths, sponsorships, and corporate partnerships.
When I was digging into the economic impact, I couldn't help but compare buying or renting residential real estate today to buying a smartphone.
Oh, the smartphone operating system analogy. Yeah, that tracks perfectly with modern real estate valuation.
Right. Think about the last time you bought a phone. You aren't just buying the physical hardware. The OLED screen, the lithium battery, the titanium casing.
No, the hardware is just the baseline expectation at this point.
Exactly. What you are actually buying into is the operating system and the app store. You are paying a premium for the ecosystem. Real estate in 2026 operates on the exact same logic.
The physical property is just the hardware.
Yeah. The square footage, the quartz countertops, the soundproof windows, that is just the hardware. But the neighborhood ecosystem, this vibrant, tight-knit living environment with intercultural festivals and a thriving network of local artisans, well, that is the operating system.
That is what makes the hardware valuable in the first place. If we connect this to the bigger picture, your analogy highlights the foundational shift in how property developers assess value today.
And real estate markets too, right?
Absolutely. Buyers and renters today are not just looking for shelter, they are shopping for the experience economy. The festival is a direct intervention in that market.
But how so? Because, Man A isn't a real estate developer. They're a nonprofit supporting newcomers.
The goals overlap perfectly, though. For a neighborhood like Point Nord to command premium real estate value, it has to prove that its app store is populated.
Ah, I see.
The festival acts as an undeniable, visible proof of concept to any prospective buyer, renter, or commercial investor. It demonstrates that this isn't just a sterile collection of condo towers near a train track.
It's a vibrant, active microeconomy.
Exactly. It's an open-air advertisement for the neighborhood's lifestyle, and it generates immediate local velocity for the dollar.
Because local businesses are paying to be there.
Right. They want direct access to a highly engaged community. The money spent on world gastronomy or local crafts recirculates within the borough.
Which strengthens the exact local businesses that make the neighborhood desirable in the first place. It's a self-sustaining loop.
The culture drives the foot traffic drives the local economy, and the thriving local economy drives up the real estate desirability.
But running this modern neighborhood operating system comes with some strict hardware requirements. Because you can't claim to be a model of sustainable urban planning and then throw a massive 2,000-person party that leaves a mountain of trash blowing across Esplanade Park.
No, that would instantly destroy the neighborhood's brand. A modern economic microengine cannot ignore the environmental realities of 2026.
The real estate market literally demands eco-responsibility, which forces the festival to adopt incredibly rigorous operational standards.
They really don't have a choice.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When you look at the rulebook for this festival, they are operating under a mandatory zero single-use plastic policy.
Which is huge for an event this size.
It is. Furthermore, there is a hard requirement that all catering must use certified compostable containers, and they are deploying something called the ACEs program, which is designed to actively reward the visitors themselves for eco-friendly actions.
The RIACES program is a brilliant application of behavioral economics.
How does it actually work in practice, though?
Well, for those unfamiliar, RIACES is an initiative that essentially gamifies sustainability. Instead of just putting out recycling bins and, hoping for the best, the program incentivizes participation.
So they get rewarded for throwing things away properly.
Exactly. Visitors might receive tokens, public recognition, or specific benefits at the gastronomy booths for properly sorting their compost or arriving via zero-emission transit.
It completely flips the dynamic. You aren't just a passive consumer eating from a food truck. You are an active participant responsible for maintaining the neighborhood's environmental baseline.
You're part of the system now.
But stop and think about the actual logistics of executing that. I want you to imagine the sheer friction of enforcing a zero plastic rule across 16 different independent food vendors cooking diverse world gastronomy.
Plus 32 artisan booths.
Right. All serving a rotating crowd of 2,000 people. The sourcing of the compostable materials alone, the compliance checks, it is a massive operational headache.
The friction is entirely the point, though. If it were easy, it wouldn't serve as a filter. By imposing these strict mandates, the organizers elevate the event from a casual block party to a rigorously managed eco-initiative.
That makes total sense.
If they didn't implement these rules, the local borough likely wouldn't have greenlit the event in the first place, considering Point Nord's sustainable mobility branding.
It proves that the community isn't just paying lip service to climate goals. They're willing to take on the logistical nightmare of organizing their largest public gatherings around them.
This raises an important question about how urban planners and city councils fundamentally define entertainment in their municipal strategies.
What do you mean by that? Because historically, a concert in a park is just categorized under parks and recreation. Like, it's a leisure activity.
Historically, yes. It was viewed as a nice to have, a line item on a municipal budget to keep residents mildly entertained during the summer.
Right.
But the final argument synthesized from our sources completely shatters that outdated view. Inclusive, highly structured gatherings like the ΗledesSœurs Intercultural Festival are not just leisure. They are hyper-strategic urban tools.
They are load-bearing pillars for the city's development.
Exactly. When you combine the strict eco-rules that protect the physical environment, the economic micro-engine that capitalizes local businesses, and the intercultural programming that actively integrates refugees and builds social cohesion, well, you are looking at the foundational blueprint of modern urban survival.
It's a truly holistic approach.
Culture, economy, and environment are no longer separate departments in a city hall. They are a single, fused mechanism feeding into each other to build a resilient living community.
It is genuinely incredible to think that all of that complex urban chemistry, the real estate valuations, the behavioral economics of composting, the sociological integration of newcomers, all of it is happening seamlessly while a family is just sitting on the grass enjoying a Brazilian dance performance or eating traditional Latin food.
The invisibility of the strategy is the hallmark of truly great urban planning. The infrastructure supports the social life, and the social life justifies the infrastructure.
They don't even realize it's happening.
Right. The attendees don't need to know they're participating in an economic micro-engine. They just know they're having a great Saturday afternoon in a neighborhood they love.
Which brings us to a really fascinating takeaway for you listening to this right now. We want to encourage you to take a look at your own neighborhood through this new lens. Look at your local parks, your public transit hubs, and the pop-up events or block parties that happen around you. Are your local spaces just static green squares on a map? Or are they acting as economic micro-engines? Are they building intercultural bridges? Or are they just, waiting rooms with grass?
Once you understand the underlying mechanics of how these events function, you can never unsee it. You realize that a festival is never just a festival. It's a diagnostic test of a neighborhood's vitality.
Our aha moment today is exactly that realization. A single afternoon of Latin music, diverse choreography, and local artisans is actually a highly sophisticated, multi-layered mechanism.
It's meticulously designed to boost real estate desirability by proving the neighborhood's ecosystem is thriving.
It stimulates the local economy without relying on single-use plastics. And, perhaps most importantly, it provides a profoundly welcoming, integrated space that tells newcomers and refugees, you belong here.
It takes the billion-dollar fiber optic cables of the city and finally plugs in the computer. It gives the infrastructure a heartbeat.
It really does. And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, something to explore on your own as you walk through your city this week.
What's that?
We've spent this time dissecting how effectively a single pop-up festival on one Saturday in August can enhance a neighborhood's social cohesion, environmental standards, and real estate value. So, what would happen to our cities if urban planners designed these intercultural micro-engines not just as annual pop-up events, but as permanent daily fixtures integrated into the very blueprints of our residential spaces? What if that heartbeat never stopped?
Now that would be the ultimate expression of dynamic urban chemistry.
We want to thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden layers of urban development. Remember, the map is never the whole territory. Keep looking past the concrete, keep learning, and stay curious.
Thank you for watching this video. For more news and in-depth reports, visit wikiresidence.ca. All our content is available in text and audio formats across all your devices. Please feel free to share your comments with us.